right, today we're going to look at two books about Superman. Superman Gone Bad. Welcome to Billy's Books. Today we're going to study two graphic novel stories, both about Superman gone bad. One is this enormous tome, Injustice, Gods Among Us. The other is Red Sun. Let's first talk about Injustice, Gods Among Us. Okay, so this is an alternate reality, a what if, just like the other one, wherein, Superman is, he's upset. He's very, very upset. It starts out with the Joker getting his ass kicked by Batman, and Joker basically says, I've had enough of being beaten by Batman, so since I never win, I'm going to do something real drastic. He nukes Metropolis. And who is in Metropolis? Lois Lane, who is carrying Superman's child. Well, Superman wigs. He completely freaks out. They capture Joker, and Superman goes to the Batcave or whatever, wherever Batman has captured the Joker, and Superman gets there, and with his bare hands, he reaches into the Joker's chest and pulls out his heart and kills him. To the horror of everyone, especially Batman, who has gone out of his way not to murder the bad guys. And that was something that Superman always did as well. Never murder, murder, murder. Well, he murdered now, and he's so pissed that he's like, you humans can't even handle your own justice. I'm taking over. And so he decides that he's going to take over the world because the humans can't manage their own world. So he goes above the law in every country, the United States, Korea, just like everywhere. He just goes and he says, me and the Justice League are taking over because we know justice and we're superheroes and we can do it and you can't. And so instantly he makes an enemy of every government in the world, almost. It goes like that. So then basically, but Batman is still horrified, and there's a whole bunch of people, so it actually ends up being like superheroes, good superheroes on both sides disagreeing. So a lot of people side with Superman, most importantly Wonder Woman. She is totally with him because she's also a god, so super powerful, and has no faith in man. That's the Wonder Woman story. She's the one that says, I do have faith despite everybody else on Paradise Island, but she has her limits, so she sides with Superman to create a government for the world. But Batman and a bunch of other doubters are like, I don't think so, this is not the way it's supposed to go, you guys are full of it. So they have a big civil war and they demolish everything. Things get really out of hand. Forces are brought from without, so the Green Lantern Corps is brought in. The Guardians of the Galaxy, or whatever they're called in DC, are brought in. There's something very close to that, the Galactic Guardians or something like that. And it's interesting, at one point some other aliens attack, and these aliens attack, and they say straight to Superman, who's still trying to be, Superman, this whole time when he takes over the world with Wonder Woman, they think they're doing the right thing by going over the rule of law and stuff like that. And so they still try to protect everyone, and Superman, despite having killed the Joker, tries to still keep his practice of not killing everyone, at least early on, but he fails. But before he completely fails all the time, one of the many attackers of the Earth, because the aliens are like, cool, the Earth are having a civil war, now's our chance. And the alien attacks and he says to Superman, you'd rather spare your enemies than save your own people. Which kind of, a lot of people say truths to Superman, and that just because he's gone bonkers, instead of calming him down, it makes him more angry because he's got that internal turmoil, whatever. Another thing is, because it's often Batman versus Superman as far as morality and stuff, the Green Arrow at one point says, I always figured it would be Batman who'd snap. He says that to Superman before Superman smashes his face or whatever. Superman is really very bad in this book. And this is an enormous tome, and it's volume 1. It's like several years of work, and I take this sometimes on my bicycle to read somewhere else. I have a big basket on the back of my bicycle, and when I put this in the back of my bicycle basket. The bicycle, this is the front, this is the back, goes like this. It's crazy. All right, so so this is enormously intense, and you know, we can learn if there's some lessons to be learned about absolute power. Some, you know, Superman starts out with good intentions, but then with a lot of power, he has to hold on to it, and he can't let go, and he ends up being killed to more and more people and stuff like that. And Superman gets all moral on Batman, and Batman's right back just says, "Well, at least I'm not a murderer," to him and stuff like that. And it gets so bad that Superman really, really does some pretty harsh stuff to Superman. We'll leave it at that. It's a pretty intense book. I like the art and stuff. I'm going to move on to the other one. Moving on to some other stuff. The other story. This is a DVD of Red Sun. This is the sort of spin-off movie from the book, from the graphic novel Red Sun, which I read before watching the movie, and they're pretty different. The stories are really different. In the book, you know, the basic premise of Red Sun, S-O-N, is that instead of crashing in the Midwest of the United States, Superman crashes in Russia, and so he becomes a Russian superhero. And as a result of having him, he's sort of like Stalin's right-hand man, because it's from the, you know, the 40s and stuff, 40s and 50s, and it's cool because in the book and in the movie, there's a lot of cool like mid-century Russian propaganda visuals, which are really, really fun to look at. Very, very, very beautiful sort of Russian propaganda. Anyway, so Superman represents everything about the USSR that USSR brags about, and the USSR in this alternate universe is really, really healthy, and they basically, by the 60s or whatever, they take over all the world except for the United States and one other country that I can't remember, and those two countries are shitholes. And the United States is just refusing to buckle down to the socialism, or the communism, or whatever it is. He is really a superhero, and but the United States resist. But the rest of the world is like, see, the Americans, all their free. They talk all about freedom, but all they've got sick people, they've got crime. The rest of the world, all of us socialists, we don't have that. We have healthy people. Everyone's taken care of. Everyone has a job. Everyone's healthy. All of our buildings are standing and they're shiny. Stuff like that. But of course, you know, Stalin has a son whom he's grooming, who he had been grooming to be the next dictator. But Stalin himself favors Superman. He's like, you should take over when I die and stuff. So when Stalin finally does die, there's a bit of a conflict, and Superman wins, of course, and he takes over, and he helps the Soviet Union be even more great as a leader. But then he starts, because he's got absolute power and he's absolutely powerful, things start getting corrupt with him too, and stuff like that. What's interesting about this story is that Lois Lane is married to Lex Luthor, so she's Lois Luthor, and she is very skeptical. Superman at one point comes to rescue the United States from something, and they think, and she suspects, and many other Americans suspect, it's just a PR move by the Soviet Union to make him not look so bad to the Americans. But when he gets over there to save their butts, he runs into Lois Lane and they have that same rooftop scene that you always see in the movies, where he comes and she's like, oh, and she still gets a little bit of the flutters in her stomach because Superman's hot, but at the same time she's also like, you know, I don't believe in communism, and she starts grilling him with all these questions. So you're absolutely powerful. Oh, that's real. Oh, for the people. If it's so for the people, then how come you're the only guy in charge? All that kind of stuff, and that goes on. And you know, Lex Luthor is the main. He comes up with sort of an alternate superheroes for the United States, which have various degrees of success. It's a finite book. The Red Sun is one simple graphic novel, and it starts and ends, just like the movie, which is different, as opposed to this other book, which just goes on forever. I would say that the Red Sun, you know, as far as Superman gone bad, because he starts out well, but then he becomes corrupt and won't let go of power. The usual, until he's taken down. There, we know the ending. He gets taken down. I would say the Red Sun is easier to digest because you can read it in an afternoon, whereas the other one it goes on forever, and I'm just like a third through this enormous tome. Though it is very entertaining and very pretty to look at the pictures and stuff. It is really long, so it's epic, in fact. I don't even know how that one's going to end, even though I did tell you the ending of Red Sun. So Superman. If you can't do, review.